quick guide to the show type options on Flirt4Free and how I think you should look at them, what you should be focusing your attention on and stuff. So private, multi, group, party. Private's the one-on-one show. For almost everyone, this is where the majority of your attention should be. You should be in open chat, trying to meet new customers, engage with them, and get them to do a one-on-one private show at your rate. And then successfully doing that, having an awesome show, and turning them into super fans. That's the hustle that we're in here. So start there. That's day 1 to day 50. You should be focused pretty much on private shows. Now, maybe you get bored doing that and you want to know what's up with these other things. Multi-user, it's essentially a private except multiple people can join and talk and stuff. When it's an actual private, there's only one person in the show. No one else can interrupt it. People can voyeur and see your video, but they can't hear the audio or see the chat or engage in the chat or anything, so they are non-playable characters, let's say, in privates. In multi-user, if a second person joins, they're paying the same rate as the first person. They can both type, they can both be fully involved in the show. That's what a multi-user is. That can be cool, because it can mean you're making twice as much, or if you have 10 people, 10 times as much in a show. There's a bit less demand for those because they lack the exclusivity. But who should be using multi-user? I'm going to come back to it at the end because it depends totally on what I'm going to talk about in group and party. It depends on your personality. So group, the scenario of group is you start a group chat, you say 500 credits for a 5-minute show, and here you go. Then that's offered to your room. They see the group chat thing, and they can pledge whatever you set the minimum pledge at, 25 credits or 50 credits, to be a part of that. If enough people pledge to have 500 credits, then the show happens. If they don't, they get their pledges back. And the pledge is an actual thing. It's like a tip, basically. The credits come out of their account. It's locked up. And if the show happens, that money's spent. If the show doesn't end up happening, it essentially gets refunded to them. So where this is appealing to customers is they get the ability to see a graphic show while only spending 50 credits versus spending 60 credits every minute. So less for them. Where it's appealing to you as a model is if you can get good at them and you're into it, you can get credits to happen a lot faster potentially than you can, in a private show. So the key thing on a group, and this isn't a hard and fast rule, but it's what I see a lot. The customers tend to be pretty demanding, sometimes more demanding than private customers who are paying a lot more are. 6 people want to watch simultaneously. In general, people are wanting a very explicit show, a full sex show occurring. You can do something more specific, but particularly with group, you're saying what the show's going to be up front. You're giving it a title and stuff, and a description, and so they know what they're getting themselves into. And so if you put in the show that you're selling, you say, I will stand with my clothes on and wave for 5 minutes, you will see a lot fewer pledges most of the time, unless you have enough people who appreciate that you're just being clever, which you likely won't. You'll see a lot fewer pledges than if you lay out a very explicit graphic show that involves nudity and genitalia and such. And so that just tends to be where the market is. You can be as creative as you want coming with group chats, and if you can get people to pledge for it, awesome. But I think we are hitting that audience that is conscious of price, that is trying to get good value for their money and so on. And they tend to be more demanding than people who are just comfortable spending lots of money. And so to me, what you want to do strategize with group is if you make 1,000 credits an hour, you want to set up the group to where you're beating your hourly rate. So if you're going to do a 10-minute group show, try and get 700 credits out of that, or 800 credits or whatever, so that you're coming out ahead, as it were, on your hourly rate, and use those to push your hourly rate up overall. It's also just a good way to build a larger audience. Like if you can get hundreds of people, a month coming to your group shows, spending a smaller amount, but you're making a much faster rate than you normally do in those, and getting a bigger audience, that can be very, very good. The only real comfort thing is you got to be cool with doing shows with multiple people watching, and doing a bit more in a show than you otherwise likely would for people who are not contributing as much money to you. Some people aren't into doing that, or just aren't into having multiple people watching the shows. Totally fine. Skip group chats entirely. You probably don't want to skip this next part on party chat too, because no, you don't want to skip this next part on party chat, because party chat, I have a few other things on. So party chat is where we get the least private, least exclusive, and per user the cheapest. In a group chat, in a group show, you still have the filter of everyone who's seeing it has to be paying to see it. Once the show starts, you're in a show. If someone's not pledged, they can't go in. And so that's one of the ways that group shows make more money is if you do get a couple people to pledge 500 credits and the show starts, someone new can come in and pledge another 50 to get in, and on and on. And you can make a few extra credits in the group show that way. Doesn't always happen, but it does some, and cool. In party, that filter of someone has to be paying to be seeing it is gone. It's an open chat show. And so the per user spending is the lowest in party chat than it is anywhere, because there's 100 people spending 0. And you're hoping to get between 1 and however many you possibly can to spend some amount. Party's a very different animal, but I don't think it's something to just skip for the following reasons. Party chat, to me, beats group chat in terms of converting new spenders. If you're doing an entertaining party chat, the community on Flirt is now kind of divided between people who like doing one-on-ones and are kind of anti-social. They don't necessarily talk in open chat a lot and aren't engaged that way. They just they have a show they want to do, and they peel you off and do it. And another type of customer that prefers to have the I think flexibility is a good word of party chats, where they know when they're in a private show how much they're spending is a fixed rate per minute being deducted from their account. Some people can't relax doing that. In a party chat, they're constantly in control of how much they're spending because they press the button, or don't press the button. So there's a very real-time feedback thing. The reality is there are plenty of people on the site who like being involved in party chats and are happy to tip. The etiquette of the Flirt4Free community is pretty good compared to like anything else, any other campsite. On attempt number 1, you're doing your first party chat, and none of those people know who you are yet. You're new. They haven't came and checked out your party chat. You might just have lames in your room who are asking you to do things and not tipping, and it sucks, and it was a boring party chat. You didn't make any money, and lame. But as you start doing party chats regularly, I think everyone should, you'll start to be seen by more and more of that party chat crowd. And they're always up for more people who are doing good party chats. Because, there are people who like to spend 6 hours a day just bouncing around different party chats, tipping 25 credits, tipping 50 credits, when things are heating up and stuff, chatting with everyone else that's in the room. There's plenty of people who like doing that, and they're always looking for more people who are putting on good party chats to kind of host that experience. So how good your party chat needs to be, it's competitive. Like, you need to be entertaining in the show, but it's also just, do they like you and what's your personality? So that you can use a party chat to get first time spending to happen at a faster rate than basically anything else, because there's a lot more people who will stop by, and if they are paying attention and they like what they see and got some credits, they'll tip some. Maybe they'll tip and ask, hey, can we see it just like this, or whatever. So the ability to more quickly convert new spenders is why party chat's the coolest. So I think of party chat as in one option is marketing. It's a good way to get exposure to hundreds of people very, very quickly, and to have a half a dozen to a dozen people per hour spend on you for the first time. Those people are then people that you can follow up with, that you can send messages to, that you can get to know better, that you can sell private shows to potentially. The party chat tip into private show customer conversion funnel is a very real thing. People will watch your party chat and like what they see, and then say, hey, I think they'd be good at doing this thing that I'm really into, and boom, private show happens. So that happens quite a lot. But marketing is the first thing of it. And so if you're not into doing a full graphic show in party chat, that you want to reserve that just for one-on-ones, or however you do it, let's just say you don't want to do it in party, then I would really highlight the marketing thing, and the word that you'll just have to bring is tease. You have to come up with a compelling way to tease everyone that gets them paying attention, engaged, very interested, aroused, without you crossing whatever boundaries you have of what you're willing to do in a public setting. And so you can use party chats to get lots and lots of customers very focused and turned on with you, and then convert someone to a private show from that. The only thing you can't do in party chat and sustainably do them is lie about what you're going to do. You can't say, if you tip me 1,000 credits, I'll do a graphic sex show, and then people tip 1,000 credits and then go, no, not doing it, just kidding. You won't last very long doing party chats that way. But anything short of that, as long as you're not saying you're gonna do this, and this, you can use party chats to drum up a fever pitch of audience engagement sort of faster than you can on a lot of things. You can be doing things that are show-like in a party chat, and grabbing people's attention. And then once you have that attention, if you want to push it into a group chat with the few people who are tipping, say, hey, let's bounce all these other lames and just do a group chat for 20 minutes. We'll do a low rate group chat and kind of do it like a party, but slightly more private. A lot of them all just do that and have great success. Each customer pledges 100 credits or whatever, and then we'll do more while they're in the show and stuff for things they like. That's very common. Some people will have a party going with a couple people tipping, and just snipe each one of them off through whispers of like, hey, like, you want to do a private show after this? I'm about done with the party. You want to do a private? Want to do private? Want to do private? Want to do private? Want to do private? And turn into a private show. If you have a couple of people tipping who are comfortable with each other, you want to make a more extreme show, that's a time to bring in multi-user. Like, let's take it to another level with these three and involve them all in a very unique way. So there's a lot of flexibility of where you can pivot to after party, treating it as a marketing tool to get more exposure to a bigger audience and more new spending faster. The other option is to just monetize parties directly. But to maximize that, you're really going to need to be willing to go all the way with your shows in party chats. It is a different show than doing a private show. Even if the acts end up being very similar, doing a show that 50 people are engaged in versus one is it's a different vibe. The way to work it is different. It's a lot more like being a DJ, is the analogy that I like to make. Like, you're working a crowd, you need to be paying attention to where like individuals are in their like, or else it's like, it's a lot to keep track of, but you kind of keep track of it intuitively and instinctually and stuff. But if you build that party chat skill set and you're able to do that, you can make a ton of credits very, very quickly in party chat. The thing with a private show is that it's whatever the rate is, tends to be what you're making. Maybe you get some tips and stuff, but most customers don't tip in private shows. Probably less than 20%, let's say. In party chat, everyone involved is tipping, and the ability for them to tip twice as much or 5 times as much or 10 times as much is always there. And so the potential to go from 3,000 credits per hour to 5,000 credits per hour, in a lot of ways it's easier with party chat because you can just add a couple more people tipping what to them is a pretty small amount, and keep ratcheting that up. So I think you always want to be doing a mixed approach. You should be able to sell private shows. When you're in open chat trying to get private shows, you should just be laser focused on getting private shows. You've never heard of party, fuck that. And then when you decide you want to do a group, like you should be, before you move to it, you should be setting people up to say, hey, you want to do a group show? Will you pledge 50 for that? Will you pledge 50 for that? You can use groups and party as like a fallback conversion for people who won't do private shows. Like they're not going to do it. You can tell. Say, hey, well, in a couple minutes I'm going to do a group. I'm going to pledge for that. And what would you want to see in the group? Take suggestions, come up with a group, boom, sell that. With party, there's less asking for suggestions. I mean, what I tell people to do when you're going to do a party, you just have to do it. You can't start a party and wait for people to get things going by tipping. You have to lead everything. You have to start doing the show first and treat it as like the honor system. That if you do a good show, and people are watching it and liking it, enough of them will tip to make it worthwhile. So think of parties in terms of every dozen parties or so is what I'd say. You'll have some that fail. You'll have some where you do a show and no one tips. That's totally fine. That happens to everyone. It's natural. But as you start incorporating them regularly, you start tracking how much am I making per hour in party chat. And you'll see it improve as you build more of a fan base around that. So use all the show types that you're comfortable with. If you're not comfortable doing anything with more than one person watching, okay, then just do the one-on-one. But the highest hourly rate is going to come from getting the most out of the people who want to do private shows with you, optimizing your time to do that, using something like group or party to bring in more of the people who won't spend that much per minute to do shows, but will tip 50 credits every couple of minutes. You can sustain both of those audiences very complementary. At the same time, you can sustain both those audiences by focusing on them. We'll talk more about another time, but those are the show types. This was this episode, and that's how I think you should use them. So, and